I'll leave you guys with this. I'm trying to set up a LAN party here to play Valo. I just got my Lenovo laptop in, so I want to test that out as well.
Game. He goes, sounds good, I'll reach after work. No hesitation.
So it's gonna come, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell Kevin we'll have a full LAN party. I don't know why, but recently I've been really intrigued about Lenovo laptops. Look, I'm sort of in the process of buying a T480 for a budget student video we've got coming up, but with the fact that my girlfriend uses a Lenovo laptop for work, I've been sort of trying to get my hands on something new, and I have. Funny enough, I got what currently replaces our Legion Slim 7. Actually, it replaces the 7i, but anyways, last year we thought it was such a good laptop for gamers and programmers, and with all the complaints we had about that iteration, this year Lenovo came back and delivered a cheaper, yet what seems to be a more powerful model with a nicer GeForce RTX 40 series laptop GPU, combined with proper upgradability and a few other things I want to take a look at together. So today we're going to be unboxing this, setting it up, giving it a run for its money, and talk about what the Lenovo Legion 7i has in store for us this year. Really, I've been on forums, I've been watching YouTube videos, reading the comments, and this laptop seems to be so good, which is why I've been dying to get one. Finally, we have one here. Let's unbox this together. Just give me 2 seconds. So little disclaimer, this year's my third Lenovo laptop like ever. I've been dying to review a bit more Lenovo laptops. The first Lenovo laptop I got was a Slim 7, the Slim 7 right there, and I just got a Slim 5, which is pretty freaking awesome. This is obviously the first white Lenovo product I ever unboxed. Oh, this looks really nice. And I think my biggest complaint about these laptops is literally the charger. They are so freaking big. Other than that, I've read complaints, I don't know, about the trackpad. Some people wish the trackpad was a bit more centered. The fan being a bit too loud, which we are going to test. I'm gonna run a few tests for you guys. I've also read some people wishing this came with a 4080 instead of only a 4070, and some people wishing this came with an OLED alternative as well. We'll say this is definitely clean. There's a little peel tab right here with an arrow. That's nice. Definitely a nice packaging. Okay, let's open this baby up. There you go. Wow. White. I love white. It looks so much better on video and in real life. Okay, I'm gonna put this away for 2 seconds just to see what else is in the packaging. Let's see. Notice of Copilot key function, coin cell battery notice, FN shortcuts. Oh, this is interesting. I've seen those. And I guess warranty stuff, general battery notice. Yeah. Really though, aside from all the complaints I've mentioned that I've been reading about, I've been reading about a lot of positive things, and a lot of people seem to love this, to rock them on their desks, and they go from gaming to training AI models to programming to game development, and they've been really happy. Aside from maybe the battery life, but it's to be expected with a gaming laptop, which we will be testing, so yeah. Other than that, take a look at this. Oh my god, the white looks so freaking good. It was definitely worth the wait. Let's open it up with one hand. Beautiful. Let's take this off. Oof. Oh yeah, so nice. Definitely the trackpad, I can see it's not in the middle. I can see it for myself. Windows Copilot key, I see that. And one thing that bothers me just a tiny little bit is the fact that the button is not properly centered off the bat. That's kind of annoying. Anyways, as for the rest, I guess the charger is in here, this massive brick. Let's see, power cord and the brick itself right here. Does this look smaller? Let me check. I think it's kind of smaller. Nope, never mind. My eyes perceive it to be a lot bigger than what it truly is. I guess it's not as big as what I remember this to be. But this should be a 230-ish power brick as well. 230 watts, yeah. It's pretty much a brick that powers an i9-14900HX with 32 gigabytes of RAM, 4070, and a 1 terabyte NVMe. It's pretty good. But other than specs, what I really want to see for myself is the upgradability this delivers this year, because it's nice. Look, if there's one thing I hate is when Windows laptops don't offer proper upgradability. Sometimes I can understand it, but either way, I think being able to simply just open up a laptop and being able to swap the most essential components is always king. Lenovo have listened actually, and not only do they allow us to swap RAM sticks with ease, but they also added a second PCIe Gen 4 M.2 slot in this chassis, which I later on tested some of its speeds and they were absolutely great. The Wi-Fi 6 card is also still an upgrade or replacement you can make, sitting right above this 4-cell 99.9 watt-hour battery. Next to it, we've got a couple of speakers, and all the way up, their new cold front hypercooling system. I believe that's what they call it. And I haven't tried this yet, but the engineering behind this totally makes me a fan. You see what I did there? A fan? Anyways, you see in here we've got a couple of fans that uses shared heat pipes to dissipate heat from the CPU and GPU. And while that sounds standard up to now, the new cooling design features fans that spin in opposite directions to direct cool air inwards through a central chamber. This chamber has like this seal that allows for hot air to only exit out the back. And so what this ends up doing is that hot air blasting out from the sides is no longer a thing. Finally. So for us, what this ends up doing is that when we host gaming LAN parties at the office and invite a third or fourth person to play on our gaming laptops, this is so beneficial because it addresses that common issue we all hate, like hands getting too hot while gaming. And so of course I had to sort of try that for myself, which we did. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. Last night I actually invited all the boys to come on over and we can have a full LAN party where we're actually going to be playing Helldivers 2, Valorant, maybe Call of Duty. But what I need to do is set this laptop up for gaming, install some of the programming tools I usually use, and just, give it the full chancla. Just try it out. Hopefully it runs very well and I'll report back. I'm going to be using it tomorrow night and we'll see how it goes.
You're gonna find him.
Go sleep!
Sir.
Go sleep!
Let's go! C'est pas ça j'ai peine, bro. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna find him. Yeah. Oh, right there! Oh! Yo, I don't know, I missed that.
So yeah, I organized a little Valorant night and played some other games together, and honestly, playing games on this laptop, oh my god, I loved it. I really love having a GeForce RTX 4070 within a laptop, and as promised, the laptop really doesn't shoot air from the sides. My gaming experience was flawless when it came to thermals actually. Towards the WSD keys, the laptop keeps fairly cool, regardless of what type of game you are playing. I'd say high demand games tend to warm up the middle, and the top of the interior chassis is what gets hotter and hotter, but there's no reason for you to touch up there. To get a bit more into the numbers, WSD keys saw temps of around 35 to 40 degrees Celsius, and after gaming for about 2 to 3 hours, the laptop surface got as hot as 58 and sometimes even 60 degrees Celsius. Also, with the laptop plugged in with its 230 watt power brick and thermal mode set to performance, the laptop fans can sound something like this. Honestly, I'd say this is what a typical gaming night could sound like for you, so thermals are definitely solid. You'll probably get very similar thermals, if not slightly lower for those who do game development. Anything web development or mobile development, I think setting your thermal modes to either a custom mode or a balance mode will be fine. If you of course start to dive deeper like training models and playing with LLMs, expect fan speeds to maybe go as far as pushing full speeds. So with fans set to auto, here's what Cyberpunk sounds like. Here's what the fans sound like when running a real-time detection model. Here's what the fans sound like when doing some dev work with a few tools open. And here's how the system sounds like while just consuming content. Okay, I'm not sure how many of you are machine learning devs, but having an NVIDIA GeForce GPU for deep learning, AI training, and testing models is what's recommended. The models I personally play with I think are too small to be able to output a noticeable difference, but if I was to compare this to any of my other laptops with different GPUs, the difference in speeds when it comes to analyzing frame per frame is definitely there depending on the laptop model you're running. RAM on a GPU for ML also is critical depending on your use, this one having 8GB of VRAM and 4608 CUDA cores that will determine how fast the GPU does deep learning is a great starting point. I would have loved to see the laptop GPU variant match a bit more of the desktop one, like at least 10GB of VRAM and closer to the 5888 CUDA cores would have been nicer for ML developers, that's for sure. Aside from that, anyone that's really into web development, mobile development, cybersec, embedded systems, I wouldn't worry too much about it. This is plenty of power. I think the game and AR VR devs could be the only ones that might need the extra power. When it comes to gaming, I actually had to sit down and test what Ada now delivers to us. It's not something that in my opinion was as noticeable playing FPS shooters, but more when playing story mode games. And it's actually fun to see new technology kind of merging into your own device. The Ada Lovelace architecture powers the neural networks behind DLSS 3 and is supported by GeForce RTX 40 series GPUs. Think of DLSS 3 as this upgraded feature within your graphics card that uses AI to enhance your gaming experience. It's like, how do I put it? Imagine being able to intelligently increase FPS within a game and improve image quality. That's what DLSS 3 within a GeForce RTX 40 series laptop GPU tries to do for you. DLSS 3 is pretty much hardware co-designed with software in order to create this new capability, and within its three main software components, AI DLSS Super Resolution, DLSS Frame Generation, and NVIDIA Reflex, these work hand in hand with its three main hardware components to be able to deliver amazing FPS, low latency, and great image quality for games. I think more games are rapidly adopting DLSS 3. Cyberpunk, for example, is one of them. Depending on the game, you can see a 30 to 40% increase in FPS while gaming. You'll notice how it actually increases motion fluidity, and you can try this stuff in other AAA games with proper story modes. Aside from this, I don't think I need to mention it, but my top picks for first-person shooter yield great frames per second. Whether you are playing Call of Duty, Valorant, Helldivers 2, they all tend to perform really well and yield great frames per second. Hogwarts Legacy is also another game that runs so well with DLSS 3 on, like you guys saw, and playing with settings such as ray tracing yields great results. The Ada architecture is really good at being able to try and simulate how light behaves in the real world. Overall, gaming on the 7i is incredibly solid, and if you want to go above and beyond those means, NVIDIA also offers the NVIDIA Studio Creator Tools, a library that allows you to use the power of AI to apply advanced effects with ease. There's actually a ton of studio apps and softwares that can bring your creative vision to life. Now, that GPU actually directly connects to some of the ports on the Legion 7i, starting with the HDMI 2.1 port, a port that can easily sustain a 240Hz ultra-wide OLED monitor running Cyberpunk in Ultra at 1440p. This port actually sits in the back along the power input. There's no Ethernet cable, which I would have loved to see. Believe it or not, it's actually something we use quite a bit in the office. You can use the FN+U key to turn on or off the port's indicators. That's only a feature that's implemented on the back ports. The side ports on the left, like the USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C, Thunderbolt 4, and 3.5mm audio jack, don't have that. On the right of the chassis, you will also find a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C, paired with an SD card slot with a camera disconnect toggle switch and a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A. The only thing here I found a bit annoying is how much the SD card pops out of its socket. It's a bit annoying. Other than that, I think the read and write speeds are fairly decent. Let's say that port could be better, but I do like that both Type-C ports on the left can be used to charge up to 140 watts. They also both support connection to DisplayPort, but the left one supports DisplayPort through the RTX 4070, and the right one supports it with the Intel graphics. I'm just gonna go ahead and call this battery life test number 1. We were actually using Chrome to troubleshoot why my Anaconda tools weren't installing. Then we actually got to install the Anaconda tools for Python, and we run a couple of benchmarks on that massive ultra-wide monitor, 240Hz monitor OLED, and now it's 1124 to be precise, and we are at 7%. So from 953, where we were at 93%, I believe, to now 1124 at 7%. I honestly think it could be better. Let's run test number 2. All of this is part of this glacier white chassis with a top and bottom aluminum anodized material. This pretty much is a lid and underside made of recycled aluminum. The rest seems to be high-grade polymers. Might be super hard for you guys to be able to tell, but the material is sort of glossy. It causes a tiny bit of fingerprints, but it's very, very nice. It feels super nice to the touch. It's just really hard to capture in video. Anyways, yeah, like I said, it feels nice and it definitely doesn't feel like a cheap plastic. I actually had to dig deep to get this white version. Turns out I ended up buying it in the US. I really wanted it because this thing looks so clean. Look-wise, this, along with the ROG Zephyrus, is one of my top most favorite looking gaming laptops ever. I love the contrast the white creates along the brush texture that sits with the ports. The Legion logo is clean. The top of the chassis has a really clever way of introducing a lip for better one-hand opening, and the flex on this panel along the keyboard and top lid, practically, you shouldn't be concerned about it. The only thing I do wish was maybe a slightly better redesigned edges, especially where your palm tends to rest. I remember while gaming, the edges sort of dig into your wrist a bit. Overall though, compared to last gens, this weighs just about the same at around 4.94 pounds, measuring 14.09 inches in width by 10.33 inches in depth, and the laptop's thickness sits at around 0.78 inches. What's not the same, however, is the interior, and I'm talking about the new power button, a power button that delivers a very fast fingerprint scanner, and I love the way the LED logo was designed, which screams Legion. The full-size keyboard looks amazing, I think mostly because it's white. We've got a full dedicated section for arrow keys, proper function keys on the top, and per key RGB keys with proper travel at 1.5mm. But there's one thing I love more than the color, and that's the ability to have so many useful hotkeys within this keyboard setup. As I mentioned earlier, FN+U allows you to toggle your LED ports. FN+Q cycles through different performance modes. The power button actually reflects that, and FN+R allows you to change your refresh rate. It's a keyboard that more or less feels very complete. Side note, I realized the keyboard brightness only offers 3 different types of brightness levels, but Lenovo Vantage actually allows you to cycle through 9 different levels. I should also point out that at low brightness, I was having a bit of a hard time seeing the letters on the keys because the keys are so white, the translucent letters can sometimes make it harder to see. As for the trackpad, compared to my Slim 7, it doesn't feel any smoother. It's a glass touchpad with great actuating points, very smooth towards the edge. It's also not overwhelmingly big or small for any Windows gestures, and I actually don't mind that it's not centered. I think it's perfect. In fact, I think the only thing here I find underwhelming instead is the speakers. Although, you know what isn't? The display. If you actually end up choosing the right one, at least that's my opinion. The Lenovo Legion 7i comes with either the Quad HD panel, which is a 2560 by 1600 pixels IPS 500 nits display, offering an aspect ratio of 16 by 10 and a contrast ratio of 1200 to 1 while still delivering 240 Hz in refresh rate. Or you can end up going with a 3.2K 165 Hz IPS panel that outputs SDR content at around 450 nits. And this, my friends, is where things actually get complicated. For those who prefer to game, I think the 240 Hz panel is the go-to. Yes, it does perform slightly better in SDR content, which can be good for devs, but the main caveat is that it's not as sharp and it only has around 80% of P3 coverage. But the good thing is that being able to push games with less pixels is a lot less demanding on the GPU. If you find yourself programming, designing, or even editing a lot more than gaming, I think the sharpness and the colors that the 3.2K panel can deliver is a lot more worth it. So it's all about choosing what's best for you. What's interesting is that with rapid charge on, the laptop charges quite freaking fast. We went from 20% to about 100% in about an hour. So that's always nice. So what I ended up doing is that I spent some time dual booting this for Linux. For those who need to run Linux on the side and not WSL, this definitely does the job. I personally rather integrate my workflow with WSL, but if you don't, dual booting works really well to the point that there is no issues with basic functionalities. The trackpad, keyboard, camera, speakers, and the Wi-Fi work perfectly fine. Anything that has to do with the keyboard also works well, and I mean more complex functions like performance mode, rear port lighting, changing keyboard effects, and so on. The only thing to be careful is with the NVIDIA drivers. Linux is always so clunky with that, so when it comes to ML, I'd keep it Windows based. The BIOS is also excellent. It's very easy to navigate, it feels complete, and it's the place where I needed to disable secure boot to install Linux, and it's where you can enable overclocking for your CPU with Legion optimization. That's a feature that then enables CPU overclocking within their software, Legion Vantage. Surprisingly very well done. It offers a lot of power saving options. It's got features like rapid charge and overnight battery charging. Other features like dynamic response time is also available, and it's got a mux switch. There's a lot you can actually do in here, and it really is the place you probably want to check out in order to manually tweak your fan's performance. As for the downsides, no laptop is ever perfect, and while it seems like Lenovo actually listens to us, there are a few things I think would make this laptop even better. For starters, I think my main issue with Legion laptops are the ridiculous AC adapters. These are massive and add so much more bulkiness with your setup and all these quite thick chunky cables. Since the laptop can charge via USB-C at 140 watts, why not just develop a charger for it? The webcam I think hits home for all Windows laptops, but please, can we get a 1080p webcam in here? These kind of suck. The edges as well, like I mentioned, I think slightly rounding them off could make it perfect. The rubbing and throbbing movement with my wrist while gaming can be annoying. I would ask for better battery life, but listen, it might not be the best because I understand that putting a 14th Gen HX series CPU in here comes with its own caveats. That being said, it's interesting because I've been installing Linux on it. I've been on YouTube, Stack Overflow, trying to figure out why the speakers weren't working. I was using the terminal, Firefox within. I was also creating my media bootable drive to be able to install Ubuntu on it. So I've been doing quite a few things these past 2 hours and a half, 3 hours. It's interesting. And I think that if you're able to set this laptop to balanced and even obviously best power efficiency, you should be able to attain
5 to 6 hours.
Regardless, keep in mind that, we now have an unlocked CPU with an extra 12 threads compared to last year, being supported by a brand new cooling system. I think I can live with that battery life considering what this laptop is meant to do, aka it's for gaming. Other than that, definitely recommend this laptop. For 2024, the 9th gen is actually cheaper compared to last year's Slim 7i. My model being purchased at $1,999. It also comes with more RAM. The RAM modules are finally not soldered anymore. It delivers a CPU with more cores and threads, and a new cooling design that won't bother your hands during heavy workloads. Let me know your thoughts. I actually think this might be the best Windows laptop we have at the office. Anyways, if you are interested, you can grab a Lenovo Legion 7i at bestbuy.com. Give it a try. You can always return it within your return period in case you're not satisfied. So yeah, enjoy it, guys. I will leave you all with this, and I guess we talk soon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.